Thank you very much, Madam President and board members. Today, I'm very excited to come and speak about something that I've become more passionate about every day. You know, over the last 8 months, I've had the opportunity of traveling throughout this district and rather visiting with board members, visiting with teachers, visiting with parents, with members of Education Foundation, Rotary Club members. One thing for sure is that everybody in this community, without a doubt, wants what's in the best interest of children, and they want to see our children grow and matriculate and achieve whatever they can dream of. They want to see them achieve that. You know, when we talk about this conversation about being a champion, and I was visiting with some of you earlier about, I realized as a new superintendent that this is not something that just began 5 years ago when we won a state championship. This is not something that just began 10 years ago, even when we may have won a championship in basketball. But this is something that has been a culture of this community for more than 50 years, easily, that I can measure. And it's certainly my work every day, and certainly the work of my staff, to do everything we can to continue to cultivate that championship spirit. But most importantly, we want to make sure that every child has an opportunity to grow through our system and to have the opportunity to become a champion. In that respect, I was very fortunate as a superintendent, and I'm so thankful to the community for passing a $170 million bond. It's not every superintendent that has the luxury of coming into a system and having that much money at their disposal as they talk about what does the future look like for this school system. I think so often when we talk about bond dollars, it's easy to get caught up in the money. It's easy to get caught up in the construction. But what I want to do is begin a 2-year conversation, a campaign around how do we make sure that the bond dollars are not just about buildings, that it's not just about construction, but most importantly, it's about utilizing these dollars to raise champions. It's about building the future of what this district will look like. And I do believe a 24-month window will give us a head start on where we want to be in the future. So in that respect, over the next 24 months, you will hear this saying, you will hear presentations, and a lot of them will be around things as it relates to our bond. What I can tell you about tonight is we're really excited to talk to you a little bit about reconfiguration of our current grade structure and how we feel that's going to lead to a better future outcome for children. We're going to talk about the renovation of buildings, and tonight we're also going to talk about the rezoning of attendance boundaries that will require an action of the board in February. In fact, that's probably the only thing that we'll talk about tonight that will be an action item in February. But I also want you to know that as we go into coming months, we're going to talk about human capital as well as our cost containment and how all of this work is built around building the future and raising of champions. Ultimately, our goal is to make sure that we provide a championship learning opportunity for every child every day so that they can excel at whatever they choose to do. Tonight we'll begin with I'm not going to read the bullet points to you because the bullet points are just an overview of some of the things that you can expect to hear as our presenters come tonight. We'll begin with the reconfiguration and the whys behind that. That's going to come from Dr. Goodman. We're then going to move to renovation, which will come from Ms. Fields. And finally, Mr. Graham will come and speak to us about rezoning and also provide us with some information as timelines to what we need to do as far as our rezoning as we move forward. Each speaker will pause Madam President, with your pleasure, we'll pause at each section so that the questions can be fresh since it is a lengthy presentation. You do have a copy of the presentation in front of you, so please feel free to follow along and write those questions, and certainly we'll be available to answer those questions. This time I'd like to invite Dr. Goodman, who will begin our presentation with reconfiguration.
Good evening, President Dr. Flowers, Board, and Dr. Goree. Thank you for allowing me to share with you the why and how of our plan to reconfigure schools while we build the future and raise champions. Research indicates that maximizing the number of school transitions a student experiences can positively impact their academic achievement, social emotional well-being, and overall sense of belonging. When students remain in one school for longer periods, they experience continuity in curriculum and teaching models, leading to better academic performance. Additionally, their families feel more connected and really engage with the educators more in that building, leading to stronger school and community relationships. By reconfiguring our grade bands, we will have the opportunity to better align our resources, including our curriculum and our human capital. Curriculum materials are typically designed to match our new reconfiguration structure, meaning that K-5 or elementary curriculum is sold together, and there's a different curriculum used for 6th through 8th grades, which are considered secondary. Currently, we have intermediate campus teachers and leaders who are navigating needing knowledge and skills in both sets of materials. The repositioning of grades 5 and 6 into elementary and middle grade bands will allow us to better align those resources. Another example of how this shift will impact our campuses can be seen in how we currently serve our emergent bilingual students and how we will service them in the future. The change will allow us to service our 5th graders as an elementary dual language model and our 6th graders as a secondary English as a second language program, which requires a different certification. What this could do for us is assist us in our staffing at that area, which is already a very challenging to fill area. One thing that families often mention to us is they're wanting their students to be together for longer at the same campus. By decreasing transitions, we will increase the opportunities for siblings to be together. Each elementary campus will continue to have a signature or choice focus, a choice program, allowing our students to have exposure and access to varied programs. This plan will also allow us to keep traditional neighborhood schools, allowing students to continue attending schools that are near their homes. A bonus to our reconfiguration plan is that as we continue to align our resources, we will be better equipped to reduce duplications of materials and programs, which will allow us to operate in a more financially sound manner. So as you see on the screen, and I'll go ahead and let you know that further in the presentation, you will see a different graphic of this that will reiterate these changes. As you see on the screen, all pre-K through 8th grade campuses will be reconfigured in some form or fashion. We will reposition our current intermediate grade levels, moving 5th grade to elementary and 6th grade to middle schools, creating a model for pre-K through 5th grade as elementary campuses and 6th through 8th grade as middle schools. Although all campuses will be reconfigured in some manner, as you see on the screen, the campuses that are highlighted gold, those campuses will undergo major configuration shifts. Central will become an elementary standalone choice program for kindergarten through 5th grade students. Daniel and Hardin will transition from serving 5th and 6th grade students into being an elementary campus serving pre-K through 5th grade students. Smith will become our early learning academy, as you just heard, and it will service our pre-K 3 students as well as our early childhood programs for children with special needs. Finally, as with Daniel and Hardin, Brandenburg will transition to becoming from being a 5th and 6th grade campus to becoming a standalone middle school choice program, which essentially could feed students from our Central Academy. Next, you will hear from Mrs. Andre Fields regarding campus renovations. And as we go throughout this presentation this evening, you will get more details regarding how the campus reconfiguration will be implemented. But before I transition, I would like to answer any questions specific to reconfiguration of our grade bands.
Looks like we don't have any questions. I have a comment. Thank you so much for mentioning the research, because it does highlight students that are in schools for 2 years, whether it's middle school or just 5th and 6th. Their grades plummet, the emotional stability, because the transition is so swift and there's not as much buy-in from parents or students or teachers because the kids are not going to be there that long. So thank you for mentioning that, and I'm proud that we're moving in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goodman. Again, as I said earlier, I'm excited to present this portion regarding renovations. Board, you just approved the competitive seal package number 2, and the campuses are there. We're thankful again to our community for their support in this wonderful effort for our scholars. And I just wanted to highlight some things in regard to these multi-campus renovations. These will include, this is not everything, but most of the renovations here in refresh will receive new flooring, paint, some new roofs. As you know, Bird's already got a new roof already, and some will have roof replacements, HVAC replacements. Alexander has already received their new rooftop units because we took care of that, I think, over Thanksgiving or Christmas, I can't recall now. Of course, ADA compliant ramps and handrails, we have need for that on some of our campuses. And even in the previous bond, we did do some restroom refresh and upgrades. We still have some others for handicap accessibility that we need to work on. And then there will be a part of this, we'll have some refresh of exterior landscaping. We just note about that when we get to Kennemer, we want to do something outside where those planters are to try to kind of make that a little bit, have more curb appeal. So we've been talking about that. So this work will begin this spring, and it's almost spring. The work will begin on this renovation projects in the spring and complete it prior to school starting of 2026. And of course, you've heard the excitement about Smith Early Learning Academy, which is to open August of 2026. And you're going to see a little bit more detail about these campuses. Central, you just heard Dr. Goodman talk about being Central Elementary Academy, to be a fine arts academy, Brandenburg. And we are anticipating this campus to open in August of 2027 to give us time for the transition from our possibly 5th graders going into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And of course, Duncanville High School's Career Technology building, which will open August of 2026. So I want to talk about Central specifically, the historic Central Elementary, the work. We're excited about this particular project because, of course, we know the history behind Central Elementary. You see there, Board, what the allocation is for this project, $20+ million. We anticipate the work to begin this summer with the substantial completion of 2026. We are, and I want to say this on mic, we are maintaining the front facade of the campus, and that's a picture of it there, the black and white photo. This building will get a new roof. We will complete renovations to the inside, include classrooms. One of the things that we've been talking about, we met last Thursday about the auditorium, the way they're going to reconfigure it. We should gain about 50 seats in that auditorium. Even though it's small, it won't be like a Shine or an Alexander, but the way it will be reconfigured, we will be able to get about 50 additional seats there. Because this campus has already secured the Changing Education through the grant, grant from the Kennedy Center, they've already begun a little fine arts work there, and so they already have a piano lab. and we're going to have a dedicated space for them. They won't have to share their space with the piano lab. And you saw the ballet folklorica, a sample size, I'll say tonight, we're working on the floor for them so they can practice not only for them, but other genres of dance will be available. We're going to have a new kiln there for them for fine arts, and a production lab where I think they're already producing their announcements every day. So we wanted to try to highlight and have a space for that. They'll get new signage. And the one thing we are doing is relocating the main entry point with a new secure vestibule. And it's going to really be, looking at the building, it's going to be to the west side, close to the cafeteria. That's where the public and families will enter instead of those historic doors on the front, because we want a larger space where we're going to put the secure vestibule with the staff there to greet our families and our scholars. Brandenburg, as we've already talked about, and Dr. Goodman has mentioned this, will be a middle school academy, and we're giving a little bit more time to Brandenburg because we want to make sure it's done right, and then we want to make sure we have the program right for Brandenburg as a middle school academy focusing on fine arts. I'm so thankful to Mr. Doucet for his input in both of these campuses, really, because we want this to be state-of-the-art choice for our families so that they know we have something special in Duncanville. With Brandenburg, we're going to keep Grace Brandenburg, the name there, and we're going to maintain the facade. There's some work that needs to be done. Y'all know they have those, I call them cross ties, Coach, I don't know what they're called, planters out there. We're going to remove those to give that school some more curb appeal, repair the existing roof. Our roof consultant, they don't need a new roof, but they do need some work done, some repair there, finish the guardrails, handrails, and of course they too will get a really total renovation, including their classrooms. Because this school is going to become an 8th grade campus, they have to have a dedicated science labs, and so we'll be putting those in place. The plans that are going forth has science labs there. Refresh to their auditorium. They're going to have production space. This campus is going to have a lot going on with drama, dance, choir. Mr. Doucet has helped us with all the instruments. He's working on the lockers for the instruments and what they need. A new kiln. They have one, but they're going to get a new one. And then they're going to install a new black box there for the theater. At Brandenburg, makeup room, dressing rooms, and so we look forward to the work that's going to be done at Brandenburg Middle Academy. So we're thankful again for the work and all the partners and input from the school leadership and staff members. And then lastly, of course, everybody, I know Ms. Williams talked about how excited she is about the Smith Early Learning Academy. And I want to just highlight, we've been working on this project for months, and the early childhood staff members have been a part of the conversation along. So we came collectively together to create this statement about what we want to see at Smith Early Learning, and you have it there in the gold at the top, a place where the students develop into lifelong learners through exploration. I think you heard them talk about the experiential classrooms, for play, because they're 3, a learning in child-centered, colorful, safe environment. We want this to be very print and literacy rich, cultivate excitement and welcoming to all learners. And we are really excited about this project. If you have ever visited the Jandruco School in Mansfield, it won't be quite like that, but we did visit several pre-K early learning centers across the Metroplex, and we have some great ideas about that. We'll maintain the facade, complete renovations. They're going to have 18 classrooms and 9 experiential classrooms. And I want to make sure that I say this. I talked about the neighborhoods earlier in the themes, and this also aligns with TEA's pre-K guidelines for students. So all of our early childhood experts have been a part of this conversation. The neighborhoods, we chose trees aligning with the four seasons. And so you're going to, when you go there, you'll see the different neighborhoods will have, one neighborhood's going to have the same season twice because there are 4 seasons in 5 neighborhoods. So, but that's okay. Use of primary colors, trees, and this building will have a lot of interaction. The library will not be central. It's going to be a kind of a deployed library within the classrooms. They'll have a space. They'll have a lot of reading nooks, textures on the wall. You're going to see trees everywhere. It's going to have trees where they can hide inside, all of those fun things. And they will have, the wayfinding will be trees. So it'll be, if you're in the red neighborhood, you'll follow on the floor, the walls, et cetera, and new signage. So we are extremely, extremely excited about this. It lines up with our Frog Street curriculum that we use. And so with that, I think I am done. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Graham unless you have some questions from me. Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Fahey?
Thank you. Ms. Fields, with Smith being as large as it is now, but not, the enrollment's down, how many 3-year-olds? That's only going to be a school, a campus for 3-year-olds, right? The 4-year-olds are going to be elementary. How many 3-year-olds are we expecting? I really didn't think we had that many, but.
According to the statistics, we have to turn down some 3-year-olds because we don't have the space on the regular campuses. So the capacity, and I'm going off my,
Okay.
the school can hold 300 plus students, 18 classrooms, but we limit pre-K3 to 18 students.
Right.
We want the class sizes to be smaller. So my math whiz people back here probably already got the 18 times, how many? 324. So we have pre-K3 out on the regular classrooms along with our early childhood special education students. We have them, we want to bring them aboard, and we want to compete with the neighborhood daycares.
Well, are these half-day or full-day?
Full day.
3-year-olds?
All day.
Oh, moms and dads will like that.
All day long. And so
Kids-
that's
kids will
another
too.
choice
Yeah.
that we have, a recruiting tool for our staff members, because you can bring your child
Yeah.
to this wonderful, enriching program, and it's going to be beautiful. You all are going to be very proud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields.
Thank you.
All right, greetings once again to the board, Dr. Flowers, Dr. Gorey. Ms. Fields got me excited about this building, so I do appreciate that. But now we've come to a time and we've arrived at the most exciting part of the night. It's time to talk about the rezoning plan, and of course, this is the last and final plan that we'll talk about tonight as we build the future and raise champions. By realigning our attendance zone, we ensure better access and opportunities for all students in Duncanville ISD. Rezoning in Duncanville ISD is about making the most of our 28 square mile district, which already boasts 18 school buildings and 19 schools. But wisely using all of the 16,000 seats that we currently have, we have about 72% filled at this time. Our goal is to optimize resource allocation, balance student population, and of course, enhance our educational opportunities for all students. The process, we began analyzing the latest demographic data and capacity studies. This helped us gain a clear understanding of both our current student population and enrollment trends. Our operations team then confirmed our facility capacities, making sure each campus can effectively serve our students. This setup ensures that our planning remains accurate and efficient. We then met with our special education departments and our pre-K departments to address the unique learning requirements of these students. By considering their needs early on, we can provide the best possible support and accommodations. Our innovation teams created choice programs tailored to the new feeder patterns. The student services and counseling departments have collaborated to develop transfer protocols and course plans. This ensures a smooth transition for any student who may need to change schools and adjust their coursework during the rezoning process. Our HR department is evaluating staff allocations. They'll be moving and reallocating employees wherever necessary to support our new campus configuration. And some people that I left off are our PEMS department, our transportation department. They probably have the hardest job if this plan is approved. As we looked at our committee, in October of 2024, a committee of about 30 members, including staff, parents, students, and community leaders, began meeting to discuss rezoning. 7 committee meetings were held in total, which Templeton Demographics provided mapping and data review of the proposed changes. We have been using Templeton Review for the last 4 years to do our demographic studies. The resulting plan was presented to the senior leadership team on December 10, 2024. Now, what is the impact of rezoning in Duncanville ISD? While approximately 900 students will experience attendance zone changes, this shift would lead to a more efficient transportation plan, ensuring students spend less time commuting and more time learning. Additionally, each school will benefit from a clear feeder pattern and new attendance zones, creating stronger school communities and improving our educational continuity. Now, what does the current boundaries in Duncanville look like? As you look at the map of our current elementary boundaries, you'll notice several arrows pointing to what we call islands. These are areas where students attend campuses far from the closest school, causing inefficient transportation routes and enrollment challenges. While a large island are clearly visible on the chart, there are a few smaller ones that are not shown on the chart. Next, you'll see Central and Smith Elementary. As Dr. Goodman mentioned, both of these campuses will be reconfigured and go offline next year. Our next slide is the proposed elementary boundaries. You can see these boundaries remove those islands of students, resulting in more efficient transportation routes, clearer projections for campus enrollment. An important change that both Hardin and Daniel have now been designated as elementary campuses. Additionally, most attendance zones have been reshaped to ensure better access and equity for every school and student. Next, we evaluated multiple plans to confirm each campus meets our capacity and utilization goals. If you look at the enrollment numbers, you'll notice many campuses currently show available space. However, these figures only include the students that live within those current attendance zones. Historical data tells us that out-of-school district transfers and choice program students will boost the enrollment, bringing most of the campuses to over 80% utilization. Next, you will see our current middle school and intermediate school zones. As previously mentioned, the intermediate schools will be reconfigured, eliminating the additional transition for students. Also, note the current size of our middle school boundaries, which will be a key in the plans for our new boundaries. Our next slide shows the proposed middle school boundaries. Here you can see what they look like. While the shape and size of each boundaries have significantly changed, we've worked hard to keep most students in their current attendance zones. In fact, only around 900 students will be directly affected by these changes. Notice that Reed Middle School now extends to the northernmost part of the district, while Byrd Middle School has gained that area previously belonging to Reed Zone in the south. And just like you saw with the elementary capacity, there is still potential room for more students at the middle school level. These figures only include students who live within the proposed attendance zones. However, based on historical data, we will anticipate higher enrollment once out-of-school district transfers and choice program students are factored in. And now, our new feeder patterns. I'm pleased to share with you the possible feeder patterns for Duncanville ISD. First, we have the bird feeder pattern, which will encompass Daniel Elementary, Hastings Elementary, Alexander, and Bill Hart's. The Kennemer feeder pattern will encompass Hyman, Acton, and Bill Hart's. The Reed pattern will have Merrifield, Hardin, and Fair Meadows Elementary. Of course, as Ms. Fields discussed, we do have new campuses that will open in 2026. First, Smith Early Learning Academy will open in 2026-27, along with Central Academy, which will open in 26-27. Following the following year, Brandenburg Middle School Academy will open. And of course, they all feed to our flagship high school, Duncanville. Next is our transfer options. Whenever you do or move attendance zones, of course, students have to be given options. Some students that are impacted, all of the students that are impacted will be automatically enrolled into their new home campus initially. Students are eligible, however, that are in the 4th, 5th, and 8th grade can apply to remain at their current campus. They will receive a rezoning application. If those students have siblings that would like to remain at the campus as well that are not in those grades, they will fill out a sibling rezoning application. The application links will go live, if approved, on February 24th, 2025. Next is the impact on our transportation department. Currently, we have 4 tiers in our transportation department. Again, with removing the intermediate tier, we will only have 3 tiers of bus routes, creating more efficiencies in our transportation department. Transportation will be provided for our choice students that are in district, our eligible bus riders that live 2 miles away from the school, and our special education if qualified through an ARP. Transportation will not be provided for students impacted by rezoning who apply to remain at their original campus. And finally, as we look at the plan going forward, if this plan is approved, and starting actually after that particular day, we will have a general communication plan for our district. Several community meetings will be scheduled. A website will be developed with information and FAQs. Of course, we'll have our parent communication, a letter to our grandfather current students with the option to stay. Those are students that are currently in the 3rd, 4th, and 7th grade. And of course, we will send out student transfer communication. Those are students that are LOE, the limited open enrollment students, and our intra-district transfer students. Those will receive that. We will clarify the transfer criteria for those particular students. At this time, that is the end of the presentation, and what questions do we have?
Trustee Fahey?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Currently, the way the plans are set up and the map of the elementary school does not include Central because that won't be open until the next school year.
Correct.
Will the zones be changed then? Because Central's not even listed on this current elementary.
That
It's
is
a
a
choice
wonderful.
school. It's a theater, the
Yes.
arts and all, but it's still an elementary school.
Yes, that is a wonderful question and something that I did not mention in our feeder pattern slide. When Central and Brandenburg open, those schools will not have an attendance zone. That is, they are full choice campuses, which means that any student from across the district can attend those campuses and they will receive transportation
Okay, just
across the community.
from the
across district.
past, it just seems like most of the kiddos who'll be going to central will probably be those who live close by. Okay, enough fuss about that. The proposed middle school boundaries, looking at it from a transportation and mileage, it just looks like birds. I don't know, I don't like the southern boundary of Reed, and then the west boundary of Byrd. I don't know, it looks strange to me, and I'm sure demographics and not transportation and gasoline probably entered into this, but it just looks weird to me. That's-
A few things went into creating those boundaries. Of course, first you looked at the number of students at capacity of the campus. We wanted to make sure there was an equal amount of students at each campus, which means that you had to change and take away and add to certain campuses. Kennemer, we took away some of the boundaries for Kennemer and made it a little bit smaller, but of course Reed and Byrd actually got a little bit bigger. Next, we looked at transportation and efficiencies that are involved in creating those boundaries. Again, you want as many students that live close to the campus that can walk as possible within that 2-mile radius, and then you start looking at, okay, let's see what type of efficient transportation routes we can create for those students. And of course, we're always looking at the school capacity. Thirdly, you're looking at how many students, how much space is actually on the campus to determine how many students we can fit into that campus.
Okay, I just think it looks weird. One last question about our lovely portables. It looks like most of our campuses will not have 100%. I mean, it looks like we're gonna have some empty space. Can we start ridding Duncanville ISD of some portables? Don't shoot me down.
No, we're going to need the portable buildings, and we'll be bringing that information to you shortly because, as you know, we're renovating the 9th grade wing at Duncanville High School. And so while we're doing that, we're going to have to move students. That's a lot of students. So all the portable buildings that we have that are in good shape and can be moved, we will only have to rent a few. I know that that'll be at the high school. I won't go into a lot of detail, but all of those will be moved once we finish the CTE building and the students are in the renovation, they move back. We hope to bring a proposal to you that we can sell those.
I would love to see Smith.
All of them gone.
And Brandenburg, some of them are, to me, distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're going to use them because they're
I
ours.
understand.
But after we finish the project, we hope, fingers crossed, that we will be able to expose of those. We're going to leave the Panther Pantry alone. We won't be moving those two. But the others, there are enough portables in our district to support that. So yes, ma'am, I understand.
Thank
We
you.
want to try to move our students inside the buildings.
You think about storms and just, it's the environment, and they're ugly.
Any additional? Trustee Colton? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. So getting to Trustee Fahey's question, I know, we have a map showing proposed elementary boundaries, but for those schools that are going to be district-wide, could they just not be added to this map just in the corner or something, district-wide schools, so we know, that they're in the mix?
We can definitely do that. We didn't do that this time because we wanted to show the major changes that would happen next
Yes.
year, but we can definitely add that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then, how did school performance, play into the district the school boundaries, if anything?
School performance didn't play much into the decision on the boundaries, but we did look at the numbers of students that are special education or any other type of program to determine if there's equity across the district on the campuses. That is something we looked at.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering, like, for those, I believe it's 5 schools, and somebody can correct me.
What's the question?
Our great superintendent. We have.
What's the question?
Yes, can you help me with that?
Yes, the schools that were in program improvement,
CIRUR.
yes.
You are correct. You are correct.
Okay. And then I saw where there's a committee of 30 individuals that provided input into the process. So I'm just wondering about, excuse me, like additional parental and student comments on, redrawing the lines and all of that. Did we do a survey, and the communications plan that we're going to roll out, is it going to, what does that look like? And where are these meetings going to be conducted? And how, will the parents and students be notified? Because that's a big part of, what we're doing.
I'm going to let Mr. Graham provide you with a lot of that information
Yes,
because he's worked
okay.
directly with that. One thing I will tell you is that we did have a robust committee that did work through this. One thing, too, and really excited to, my first time working with, of course, district has worked with the Templeton group for the last 4 years around your demographic study. So I think even when you create those maps that look odd, they have a real good knowledge of the community. And two, they're factoring in growth and future growth. And how do we balance the attendance zones in a fashion that we don't have to come back to this conversation, because this is not one of our favorite things to talk about as a system. Nevertheless, what I will say is that we did have an additional parent meeting last week. We do look even in the next month. Why we thought it important that we present this as information a month before you vote on this is that will give the community an opportunity to express their feelings around that. And there will be meetings. We will have at least one more public meeting even before we get to your vote in February around the attendance zone. I'll let Mr. Graham come back with some more around the specifics around communications. If there's anything else. I think that's it for now. One thing I will tell you though too, even when we talk about the 2-year campaign around building the future, raising champions, there will be a complete communication guide for everything that we do over the next 24 months. And that will be very scripted. So we have a principal toolkit around that, and it will be a parent toolkit. We talked about the website. We talked about frequent asked questions. We're going to build this entire campaign around making sure that we engage as many stakeholders as possible as we build the future for our students.
Okay, and then how will transportation be impacted? What is that? I know it translates into fewer students needing transportation, I assume. Can you elaborate on that?
A few things. First of all, the tiers. As we stated, the first thing that will happen is you eliminate you reconfigure the intermediate schools. Therefore, you don't need that tier. So it goes from 4 tiers to 3 tiers. Now hopefully, we have more students that live closer to their campuses now, not going all the way across the district, and that will decrease the amount of transportation we need for certain students, which now the buses, since we sometimes we need a few more bus drivers at times, we'll say it in that manner, it allows us to use the bus drivers we have more efficiently and get to those students.
Okay, so could you elaborate on numbers? Or just, estimates?
As far as number of students that are riding buses,
Yeah, that would be, yes. What is the impact?
we don't currently have that information, but we will give that information to you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So while there are less than 10% of the students that are impacted by the, based on the numbers somebody else gave, 800 and something, and we have 12,000 students, so we have about 8%,
Right.
9%, 8% of our students that are impacted.
One of our, and what you're describing was one of our main goals with this, was for this to impact as few families as possible. And please know, we went back time and time again to look at, if we move this street, how many kids can we take off that list? So we did look at impacting as few families as possible. Really excited to go to a 3-tier system versus 4 for our buses with those different start times, and we're working through that. So I think that's going to help too. But we will work to get that answer to the transportation part around that.
Trustee Fahey?
Thank you. I will say that between my first tenure on the board and then this one, I was the chairman of a rezoning committee when we built Hyman and Bill Hart's. And the community really had great impact. I remember two big meetings, and I thought I was going to be stoned out of town or whatever. But parents had some real good ideas, and we did listen to them. However, the demographic company hit it on the head. People were saying, we don't need a little Hyman Elementary. There aren't any houses out there. Well, now it's overflowing. I mean, so the demographic studies are very, very important. So, and I realize that too with the gasoline and bus routes and that stuff. Thank you for your time.
Trustee Savage Martin?
I only noticed it, yeah, because you don't have them listed on those, on the proposed middle school boundaries. Thank you. The schools are not in, the elementaries are not in the right place.
Yeah, they may not be.
Okay.
That-
Alexander is not on that side of 67.
They just
Hardin
put the-
is not that far over.
They were just
It's
putting
over
them in
by
the general.
Reed.
Yeah, we'll fix
So,
Yes.
before you go to the public, which
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
this is kind of public, we need to fix them.
Hardin and Central are almost next door to each other.
Yes.
You know, really.
It was just to get the general area and the name, we put them in that, but yes, you're correct. We will correct that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam President. But as we close, I would like to just, a couple things I'd like to reiterate quickly. First off is that, when we talk about Central and Brandenburg and them having no attendance zone, we do believe those will be our opportunities to be competitive. It will be our opportunity to first keep our children in our district. We're still losing a sizable number of children, more than 3,000 children, to other educational opportunities. We see this as an opportunity to attract them back to our system. We see the same thing being true with attracting other students to our system to take advantage of those choice programs. I think we all hear the word choice a lot, and we know that that's very important to many families, and we want to make sure that not only are we offering a great neighborhood opportunity, but great choice opportunities. In March, we will come with a presentation coming around our Champions Choice, which is our program designed to directly speak to making sure that we're offering the best choices for our students in our school system. But again, this presentation today and this campaign is really just about how do we make sure that every decision we make is embedded in what's best for children, and how do we create a future that does raise champions in our system. So thank you, and look forward to many other presentations in this space. Thank you.